Welcome to the viewers or the listeners. This is the 50 plus community where we talk and share our stories, being over 50 plus, challenges and opportunities. And I'm having some meaningful conversation around being 50 plus. And today we are joined by Jan Holland, who is going to be our guest today. Janet is a divorce and breakup coach and workshop presenter, and she lives in Sydney, Australia. She supports and guides women who are going through a divorce or breakup and who know they are ready to move on in their lives. Janet is a qualified counselor and has trained with some of the world's leading pioneers in the emerging paradigms of human potential, including Greg Brandon, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. John DeMartini, and Dr. Jean Houston. Janet teaches her clients that no matter what challenges arise, they have the inner resources to deal with them. So welcome, Janet. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling wonderful, thank you.
Very good. So tell us, first of all, how old are you? How young are you? And how old do you feel?
Well, I'm 73, and right at this very moment, I think physically I feel 73, or what I imagine a 73-year-old should feel like. But spiritually and mentally, I don't feel 73.
Lovely, thank you. Since we are talking about the topic of the changes that we experience past our 50s, what changes did you notice going into your 50s, Janet?
Going into my 50s, I noticed that physically I was changing. I was starting to go through menopause. My periods were becoming less. So it really was a physical transition for me. I got hot flushes and that affected my sleep at night and so on. But also what I did notice, probably around menopause or post-menopause, I started to put on weight very easily, and it was very hard to get it off. And so, of course, that impacts other things. So the clothes that you once bought, you don't buy anymore. And, and you hate going to a shop and buying larger sizes and things like that. So I think it also affects your self-esteem. So I think basically the big change was the transition, going through a physical change, but also the psychological changes that physical change brought.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what did you do going through that sort of transition? Have you noticed anything specific that you did mindfully in your daily habits or routine changes?
No, not when I was going through menopause. I think I was just dealing with it. I did take a few supplements to help, but it was really later on when menopause had finished that I thought, okay, I need to do something about my weight. And so I became, in my 50s, I became more conscious of the food that I ate and realized that it was really important to keep physically active. So probably they're the changes, taking supplements when I was going through it, and afterwards just making those life changes. And because I'm actually about 12 or 13 kilos less in weight than I was in my 50s.
Right now?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, and how helpful was it? What noticed and changes did you notice actually taking supplements and doing more exercises in terms of your feeling?
What did I notice in terms of taking supplements?
Yeah, how did that impact?
Oh, look, I don't think I really noticed much because I was still, going through menopause. I was still, like when I was going through it, I really didn't seem to be able to do much about my weight or the hot flushes. Like it's just a matter of going through it. However, I thought it can't be a bad thing to take supplements. So, having no control, I don't know whether you know, if I hadn't taken supplements, whether it would have just been the same. I don't know.
Okay. So when we asked you what is important to you in your 50 plus, you said health was important to you. So what have you noticed about your health in your 50s plus?
Yes, look, I think health is the most important thing probably, because without your health, you can't really lead the life that you want to lead. And I noticed this particularly when I was 62. I walked the Camino in Spain. And at the time, I thought to myself, there's going to come a time when I won't be able to do this. So I'm going to do it now. And also, I realized when I was on the Camino, when I was walking it, I was just so grateful that I could do that, because along the way, there are reminders that people actually died doing it. You know, you see monuments to people who have died or had heart attacks or whatever. And especially the first few days when you go up and down the Pyrenees. And I think sometimes maybe, well, when I did it, it was very hot. And, you know, and it's taxing to go up a steep hill. But I think many people might start out and not do the preparation as well. So before I went, for weeks, I actually walked up and down hills and prepared myself. So I think, yes, it comes in the preparation, and also just being naturally, or not being naturally healthy, but working at your health and your fitness. I don't think you set out to do something like that, not being reasonably fit, but I suspect some people do.
Mm.
So
I guess
yes, I think health is very important for the life that you want to lead.
And also looking back, I think when you hit your 50s, it was also something that you always wanted to do in terms of travel. Can you also tell us more about that?
Oh, I'm not sure. Is it a story that I've shared with you? Yeah, about 50s.
I think there was you always wanted to travel somewhere and you had to decide it.
Oh, well, I actually, oh, that's right. Yes, a few things actually about that. I always wanted to go to Ireland. So when I turned 50, well, I promised myself that if I hadn't gone to Ireland by the time I turned 50, I would go. So I did go to Ireland when I was 50 and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then a few years later, I went back for 3 months. And it's a wonderful country, because from the middle of Ireland, it's just 2 hours either way, you know, to get to the edge. So I really did enjoy that. And then not only that, I actually went through a divorce in my 50s. And as a transition period to give a gift to myself, I went and lived in Maui for 3 months. And so that was wonderful as well.
Wow.
So yes, I love travel. I'm very curious about the world, and I love new things, whether it's new ideas or new places.
So what do you think it was about doing that, turning 50? How would you explain that? Because when you said you turned 50, you wanted to travel to these countries.
Yes, I had done a lot of travel before, actually, but Ireland was a place that I'd never been to, but also I have an Irish heritage. So that was probably the draw to Ireland. But I think when I turned 50, for some reason, me, but I suspect other people as well, feel that they're suddenly old. And I think I was feeling that. And then, of course, the changes in your body make you feel that way. You know, I was carrying a lot more weight then than I am now. So yes, I think it is definitely a moment in time when we start reassessing our lives. We think, you know, am I really enjoying this job? And for me, I was a teacher at the time, and I loved my work, really. Like, I didn't ever have Mondayitis. I didn't ever not want to go to my work. And I enjoyed seeing the children learn and grow and so on. But I was very keen to finish. I just was looking forward to the time that I could finish. And so it made me think that I'm not really doing what in my heart that I want to do. I just felt that there was something else. So I think, and also I think we reassess our relationships and, you know, what's happening in our lives, for sure. Because at 50, because you start feeling old, then you're conscious of what the future may be. And I think you start thinking a bit more about the future and your mortality. And it's so funny because I thought more about that when I was 50 than in the last few years, although as we might go into it a bit later, I'm thinking more about it now. But certainly back in my 50s, I was thinking about my mortality and what do I want out of life and so on.
So going back to the importance of health, with the different events that happened to you with your divorce in your 50s, how has that also directly impacted your physical and also mental health?
The divorce?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh, for sure, that really affected me. It actually turned my world upside down in that my view of the world totally changed. You know, you think, oh, well, if I'm a good person and if I do this and, you know, I do that, you know, this is going to happen. And of course it doesn't. Life's not always fair, and you can't always predict what other people will do. So it was yeah, that was certainly a time of transition for me as well. And I really had to work hard at processing stuff. And of course, when you're going through a divorce or a relationship breakup, depending on how amicable it is, it can be really hard. And what I noticed for myself at that time is because my emotions, I was really overwhelmed with my emotions. I couldn't think very clearly. And looking back, I kicked myself for the decisions that I made, but I know I made them because my clarity, I didn't have clarity. And I mean, you know, there's all the research now to show that if you're anxious, it impacts on your ability to think clearly. But of course, when you're going through a divorce, you don't think, oh, you know, my emotions are stopping me from thinking clearly. It's just something in retrospect, but it's certainly the case. And not only divorces, I mean, anything, whenever we're anxious, it does impact on our ability to think well.
And how have these struggles or maybe worries or anxieties you had a direct impact to your physical health?
It's interesting. And I used to be amazed at myself, although I was in a lot of emotional turmoil. I can remember I didn't ever get colds or anything. Like I used to think, oh, wow, you know, I'm actually quite well. So physically, I think my health was okay. But also what I did do was that I used to go to exercise classes every week. So maybe that strength helped. And also I had very good support from friends and so on. So, you know, probably that divorce and those emotions didn't affect my physical health as much as one would expect. In fact, I think I was working at becoming stronger, really.
And what would you say the biggest hurdles or challenges are in your life today, with regards to your health or anything else, and how are you managing them?
Before I answer that, I'd just like to go back and also tell you what a turning point for me was in that time when I was going through the divorce. Of course, I was feeling a bit sad and sorry for myself. But one day I woke up and I thought, I'm in a warm bed. I've got a roof over my head. I've got more food in the fridge than I need. And I then thought of, you know, people in refugee camps with no running water and all the rest of it. And I thought, really, I'm okay. And that was the turning point for me, because once I started thinking about the good things that I had, then I started thinking about the good friends that I had, my good family members, and I started seeing the positives during the day. So just waking up and feeling grateful is really a good thing, I discovered. And I didn't sort of consciously do that. It just happened one day, but that was the turning point for me. But getting back to your other question, right now at 73, I actually do have a health challenge. I have been diagnosed with a lymphoma, WM for short. I won't try and, you know, pronounce the long version. So that's very interesting in itself. And one of the things that I felt innately about this, I mean, you know, we never want to hear that we have cancer, but one of the things that I felt innately was that I had to connect more with myself. And although I have been doing a lot of work on myself for a number of years and thought that I was pretty aware and, you know, um, I just felt that I needed to have this deeper connection. So probably for the very first time in my life, I'm actually focusing just on me. I'm just looking after me. And literally it is the first time in my life that I've done that. And so I think that's a good thing in itself. And also I'm seeing an emotional healer, and I'm going very deeply with that. And it's amazing again that we think we've resolved various things, but it's amazing just how much more stuff is there that we don't realize is there, and to actually be able to process that and to let it go is a wonderful thing. So that's part of this journey for me. And then the other thing was just surrendering, because some people say to me, oh, you'll fight this. And I think, no, I'm not going to fight what's part of me. I'm going to surrender to it. So I've done that. However, in one of the sessions I had with, I call her an emotional healer for want of a better word. One of the things that came out is I deserve to live. And it's really interesting how that made me feel as if I wanted to fight. And, you know, saying that I deserve to live, you know, came as a result of, you know, the stuff that we were working through. But funnily enough, I just realized that there is more that I want to do in this life. And not only do I deserve to live, but I want to live. And I do seem to have a bit of fight there that I'm surprised about, because I thought I was just going to totally surrender, but I don't think I am.
Thanks for sharing that, Jan. I'm wondering how life would have been different if you were not diagnosed, and what would the outlook be, and what kind of sort of relationship have you kind of formed with the illness that you have now moving forward?
I know this sounds really odd, but I am grateful for it, because it is making me connect more deeply with myself. I think I would have been happy not to have this illness, but it's certainly making me connect more deeply with myself. But not only that, when I said that, you know, I am focusing on me, I'm also more, I'm happier to reach out and ask for help. So, you know, well, just one small example is that I've been very lucky in that a friend has been coming to my doctor's appointments with me, and she sits there and writes notes while, you know, I have my appointment, which is great, because obviously you don't take everything in and you probably miss some things. But she went away on holidays just recently, and I could have easily gone by myself and it wouldn't have been the end of the world. But I actually reached out and asked somebody else, and you know, I'm very grateful and fortunate that they said yes and they came. But I wouldn't have done that once upon a time. I wouldn't have reached out for help like that. And that's just a small example. But then the other thing is that people who have found out that I have this illness have reconnected and are so supportive also, in that I get phone calls and all the rest of it. So unexpected things like that happen that make you feel that you're valued, because I think, you know, like going through a divorce, you feel, you know, not valued, or, and as I said to you, I think that this is the very first time that I've focused just on me. But to be honest, I think when we do things for other people, it's because we want to be valued. We want to feel valued. And so to just let all of that go and just be who you are and have other people come to you, it's actually a nice feeling.
Wonderful, wonderful. tell me, what opportunities or highlights have you noticed, yeah, in your 50s and I guess in your 60s and now in your 70s? What would you say, given the, of course, challenges that you have and the unfortunate diagnosis of your illness, but on the other side, what do you embrace and what opportunities do you see moving forward?
I think the highlights are probably, if you can do it, is to follow what dreams you have and act on them. Because I think so often, you know, as I said to you, that although I love teaching, I just really was keen to finish. I think I wanted to do other things. And my other things were really more to do with helping people one-on-one, using the skills and the knowledge that I had about human potential. You know, I've always been incredibly interested in that. And so that's what I have brought into my divorce coaching. And also because of our experiences too, and what has happened, I think we know where the wounds of other people are, and how if you can sort out those early wounds, then it's so much easier to live life now. So, for example, when I went through my divorce, I felt an incredible sense of abandonment, but I don't think other people would have felt as great an abandonment, because I had so many issues from my childhood about abandonment. So just being able to go back and heal that childhood abandonment actually almost disintegrates the abandonment of what you feel. What you feel is the abandonment of now, you know. So I think those opportunities of just connecting, being 100% honest with yourself, you know, facing the truth head on, and yeah, just allowing yourself to follow your dreams. And I think it's also important to have this concept of being the best version of yourself that you can be. Yeah.
Nice. I hear a lot of wisdom here, and I'm wondering, reaching this state of mind where you realize that you have to be honest with yourself, speak your truth, and be directly connected with yourself. Is this something, do you think, that takes time, that you would or could have done in your 20s or 30s, or do you think this is something that we begin to realize maybe in our post 50s or 60s? How has it been for you?
It's interesting, because sometimes when I meet younger people in their 20s and 30s, I think, oh my goodness, they're so much more evolved than I was at that age. So I don't know whether it's what they're exposed to when they grow up now, but I find some incredibly wise younger people. But for me, I think it was really probably mid-40s that I started being conscious of just, you know, looking at my emotions and trying to understand what was happening. And also, because I'm a bit inquisitive, I suppose it was the beginning of, you know, the neuroplasticity of the mind, and how you can change that. And so that's probably been a journey since my mid-40s. But yeah, I think it's probably different now. But for me, it was definitely a later thing. I don't think I would have done much in my 20s and 30s. I was probably more interested in reading health books actually at that stage, you know, like there's what you know, whether it's you should become a vegan or whatever, but nothing to do with emotional stuff. So I suspect it's different for everybody. But the other interesting thing is, and I'm sure that you and the viewers or listeners would know, is that I think some people can, you know, reach their 70s, 80s or 90s and never self-reflect, you know. So I think it's a matter of spending time to self-reflect. And I also think sometimes the busyness of our lives gets in the way, that, you know, your work, or if you have a family, your children, but, you know, even other things, we tend to just go through our lives, but very rarely self-reflect. And I think I did start to self-reflect in my mid-40s. However, certainly because of the emotional impact of my divorce, I really worked hard at, you know, understanding me, and you know, it's so easy to blame other people for how you feel, but when I was really honest, I knew that I was in collusion with the whole relationship. You know, I ignored I denied sometimes what was happening because it was too painful to actually face it, or to just, you know, ignore what was going on really. And but if I'm absolutely honest with myself, I have to take responsibility. And I think many times we don't. It's just so much easier to say, oh, you know, they're a cat and they did this and they did that. But two people are in the relationship, and we chose that relationship for whatever reason. So I think, you know, we have to take the responsibility for that as well.
No, thanks for sharing that, and I believe that takes a lot of courage to be able to say that as well. And I think when we are faced with things that we don't like, or there's a lot of denial, we try to shrug that under the carpet or avoid it. So I think it's a big step when we're able to face it and be able to say it. So now, Jeanette, in your 70s, what would you say has helped you be who you are today?
It's really interesting. I think I have to accept that I wouldn't be where I am now without the support of other people. You know, whether it's reading a book that somebody else wrote, or whether it's going to wonderful seminars that, you know, very wise people have put on. But even just basic things like working with professional, gifted colleagues, you know, you learn a lot from them. And then, of course, the kindness and the support of family and friends. I just know that I could not be here in this space if it had not been for other people. And I think sometimes we forget that, you know, that other people have brought us to where we are. Like sometimes we think we've worked really hard to do this and that, but in working hard, we're normally learning from what other people have discovered, or, you know, so I think I have to acknowledge that I'm here because of other people, known and unknown, and just what they've brought to the world. And I suppose that's why I think it's so important to follow your dreams and be the best version of yourself, because you don't know how it impacts on somebody else. And just, you know, by my example, then by the books that you write or by the support that you give, you never know how much you have impacted somebody else's life. And then my other feeling about it all is it's an inside job. Like no matter what you want to do, what you want to achieve, how, you know, self-enlightened you want to be, it is an inside job.
Mm-hmm. And my last question is, any last words of advice or wisdom you would like to share to those who are turning 50 soon, or maybe those who are already in their 50s today?
I think my word of advice would be honest with yourself. And sometimes that's not easy to do. Take 100% responsibility for your life. And sometimes that's not easy to do. But the other thing is be gentle with yourself and compassionate with yourself. I think sometimes it's too easy for us, or we tend to beat ourselves up more than be gentle with ourselves. So my words of wisdom are to be gentle with yourself.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked that you would like to share before we?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, we have this life, and I think it's up to us to, well, I literally think to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And I don't think well, I certainly haven't thought that until the last few years. I didn't, you know, go through this life thinking I want to be the best version of me. But I certainly believe that it's very important now, you know, to strive for that. So yes, I'll end on that.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's many people who can reach out to you and get your support. How can we get in contact with you if we would like to work with you or to continue this conversation?
Okay, well, it's probably easier to email me. My email address is office@Coach Jan Holland, JanHolland, office@coachjanholland.com. And I do have a website, is www.coachjanholland.com.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for sharing and being open. And yeah, I wish you all the best and lots of strength as well throughout your treatment that will come. And thank you for your time and all the best.
Thank you so much, June. I really appreciate it and enjoyed it.
Thank you.